And what are 4 metrics of productivity I'll share with you. If you actually want to excel in 2026, on the metrics that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned to us. What are the 4 metrics? You and I want to be really, really productive. We actually want to add value to ourselves first and foremost, our families, our community, our neighborhood. What are the 4 metrics? One of the metrics of productivity, Allahu Akbar, in a time where everything is instant, when a time where people are scrolling their brains dead, at a time where people think everything is easy until they actually start doing it, in that community and generation, this is perhaps one of the most difficult ones. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The most beloved of deeds and actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is those which are most continuous. So that's a metric. Remember, we'll all do things here and there. Everyone will. But that's not what's going to shape our lives. That's not what's going to shape the community. The most productive metrics are lined up here. Number 1. They're not in exact order, so you can pick and choose. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا. The most beloved of deeds to Allah is that which is continuous. That which does not stop. That you're always continuous with. What about big or small? The Prophet ﷺ, that doesn't matter. وَإِنْ قَلَّ. Even if it's small, even if it's little. Now you may say, that's not hard then, is it? Are you listening to me, everyone? Is anyone thinking in their heads that that's not hard then? If it's a small thing, for me to do it continuously, it must not be hard. So let's tap into 2025. Tap into your 2025. And tell me, did you do anything that was voluntary, that was good, that was positive, that was not compulsory? The reason we say not compulsory because that you have to. We're not talking about 5 namazes. We're not talking about them because you have to. You don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. We're talking about anything that we did out of productivity. Anything that we did that we thought this is good, this is beneficial, and you did it. Let's tap into 2025. Any one thing, big, small, money, body, health, whatever. Your choice of options are unlimited. Year 2025, anything that you can say, you did continuously from the beginning of 2025 till then, anything. Did someone think it was easy? I don't know, maybe. I can't get into your heads. Did someone think it was easy? To do something continuously? To do something without a miss? Even though the Prophet ﷺ put the bar very low, he said, وَإِنْ قَلَّ, even if it's little. So this is the illusion that we are fed by shaitan. Now obviously the real shaitan, he's going to feed illusion, and we have modern day shayateen as well, which is in the form of TikToks and social media. They're also modern shayateen. Why? Because they feed illusions. Anything that gives us illusion, talbis. Talbis means you make something which appears different other than its original form. That's talbis. So if something gives you a false image, false illusion, false understanding, that's all shayateen, that's talbis. So when someone hears that hadith, that do something continuously, put that phone away, brother. Put that phone away, phone away. Phone away. Put that phone away, inshallah. Yeah? Let's learn. Wallahi, this is the modern shaitan. Why? Because what does shaitan do? He gives you false impressions, false illusion. When we hear this hadith, do something continuously, and when the bar is lowered, you don't have to do something big. You don't have to do something exhaustive. Simple. وَإِنْ قَلَّ. How many of us, if you listened? See, before everyone would listen, and you can say, but nowadays not many would even listen. So we have to ask that question. When you heard this hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, any deed that is done continuously, it is most beloved to Allah. And even if it's little, how many of us sat there wondering, that's not hard? Honestly, how many? No one? How many thought, that's not very hard? How many? Yeah? And that's the illusion. It's actually, are you scratching or putting your hand up? Okay, that's a scratch. Okay. So I've learned that trick as well. So the way you do it, you raise your hand just here, enough that if You give the illusion of yes, but you can always take yourself out with a scratch. So that's called illusion, isn't it? Yeah? So what is happening? Illusion of the mind. Shaitan puts in our head. That's easy. Wallahi, it's nothing but hard. It's not easy. That's why it's so beloved to Allah. Consistency in action, even little. It is the most profound thing that you can do to help yourself. That is a skill amongst the most difficult skills to master. I'm asking you, your 2025, tap into anything, whether it's money, whether it's reading, whether it's doing, whether it's even looking. You will not find something that you've done consistently at the same time for the full year. You can't do it. People can't. The Prophet ﷺ told us it is one of the most beloved because it's actually very, very hard. If you can find, don't take it negatively. Yeah? Ask yourself, challenge yourself. Do I have anything that actually I do on a regular basis? That's not compulsory. I've done few things, but to be continuous and consistent, wallah, is very, very hard. That is one of the metrics. That is one of the metrics. Tap into 2025, see if you've done it. If not, make a pledge for 2026. I'm going to start something small and I'm going to be very, very continuous with it. And see how hard it is. If you can achieve that, you've stepped on the ladder of productivity. The second measure of productivity is ihsan. What is ihsan? Ihsan means excellence. When you become better at something, you master the trade, you master the skill. You take something and you say, you know what, I want to be good at it. I want to harness the absolute benefit of this. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala said, Qadrul mar'i ma yuhsinu. The value of a man lies in what they accomplish, what they become excellent at. Qadrul mar'i ma yuhsinu. The value of a man lies in what they excel in. When they become very, very good at something, that's when your real value shines. So what's the second metric? The Prophet ﷺ said, anything that you do, try to excel because Allah loves ihsan. Anything that you do. Don't be mediocre at it. Don't say, you know what, I've done it, it's okay. No. One of the excellence, one of the metrics of productivity, you try to make it the best you can. You do it and you say, you know what, as a Muslim, I do not want to do average. I do not want to do poor. I want to make sure it meets excellence. You push yourself to the boundary. And that's why Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala said, the value of a man lies in excellence. What you do. Second productivity measure. There's a beautiful hadith, Hadith Jibreel. So who's going to try excellence? I was going to say the Hadith Jibreel, but I can't move on. Who's going to try, inshallah? Yeah. Third one. The third measure of productivity is that you value how much value you add to others. Manfa'atun nas. It's actually an Islamic principle. Our deen is not random. It's never random. Everything is organized by the most organized. Everything is devised with hikmah from the most wise. Everything is done with precision, the one who can handle precision to the best. Allah is the one who's designed everything. Our deen is not random. Just as the universe is not random, this, there, that, there, it's not random. Everything is designed to be perfect in harmony. Our deen is also designed to be perfect in harmony. The teachings are not random. So one of the things that we should be looking at is manfa'a. How much benefit am I bringing to people? And the Prophet ﷺ, to motivate us, he said, khayrukum, the best amongst you, man anfa'un nas, is the one who brings most benefit to people. One of the principles of our deen is jalbul manfa'a wa daf'ul madarra. Meaning that when you analyze something, whether it should be allowed, what it shouldn't be allowed in Islam. In Islam, when you're trying to analyze things, whether it should be allowed, it shouldn't be. Remember, there'll be many new masail which are not mentioned explicitly in Quran and Hadith. So when the scholars sit down, they have to use principles. One of the principles they use is called Jalbul Manfa'a wa Daf'ul Madarra, which means Jalbul Manfa'a, does it accrue benefit? Does it gain benefit? And does it dispel harm? You analyze it on these two metrics. If it brings benefit and it dispels harm, then say, okay, Islamically this is correct. So how much benefit do you bring to people? How much benefit do I bring to people? That is a metric of productivity. How many people am I benefiting? Whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, whether it's spiritually. How many people I'm benefiting, that's a measure of productivity. Are we going to try that, inshallah? The fourth one is ikhlas. The fourth measure of productivity is ikhlas, which is sincerity. What I'm doing, is it for the sake of Allah? Even if it's big, even if it's small, overt, covert, doesn't matter. If you do something for the sake of Allah, that becomes very, very productive, because that's going to weigh very heavily on the Day of Judgment. Now you might say again, what's the talbis here? You might say again, what? That's not very hard. Wallahi, that is one of the most difficult things. To be sincere only for the sake of Allah. There's a reason why. There's a reason why. On the Day of Judgment, Allah will give shade to 7 people. Allah will give shade to 7 categories of people. One of the categories of people whom will get the shade on the Day of Judgment is that person who gave charity. The right hand gave and the left hand didn't even know what it gave. It's very difficult to hide our good deeds, especially in our modern context. Tell me, be honest. Everything before you've even finished is on TikTok. It's on social media, yes or no? Yeah, let's be honest with ourselves. Yeah, this jummah ban is going to be on TikTok as well, or maybe some other platform. That's what happens. It's very hard to keep ourselves sincere. One of the biggest metrics of productivity, what you're doing, does it count, does it matter, does it measure, is have you got ikhlas. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, little deeds, little action with ikhlas will outweigh much if you can become mukhlis. And one last thing with this, one last thing, Allahu Akbar. We are living at a time of a new shaitan said. And this is illusion. The social media is feeding illusions to us. One illusion that it gives us is that we know. We don't know. When you see something, that's not knowledge. It has to be processed and it has to be taken in. That's why the Prophet ﷺ used to say, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'an. Wallah, I ask from you knowledge which is beneficial. Now let's just say you're watching TikTok, I'm watching TikTok, social media. But is that knowledge? Firstly, would we call that knowledge? Even if we by the stretch of imagination call it knowledge, is that beneficial knowledge? Third, with that knowledge, can I bring benefit to others? Can I gain productivity in any metrics that I've mentioned? What this is doing is taking our time away, taking our skills away, taking our appetite away, and is creating a community of people, but not necessarily a real community who are engaged in productive actions. So Allah give us the tawfiq to make our 2026 much more productive and better than our 2025. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.